Hello, welcome to a new episode of Geek Lunch Me. I'm your host Chris. As usual, if you like this video, don't forget hit the thumbs up if you would. Absolutely helps us out a great deal. Gets the video out to a lot more people. And if you've not already subscribed, don't hit that subscribe button. We'd absolutely love to have you here. In this episode, I thought I would take a look at this. Basically what is the Battle of the Planets live action movie, which I didn't even know was a thing. But before we get to that, well, let's reminisce a bit. If you're of a certain age, like myself, reaching the wrong end of their 40s, you very probably grew up with the Battle of the Planets cartoon. Obviously, this is if you lived in the West. It started in the UK here in 1979. I think the States may have been slightly earlier than that. And I remember absolutely loving this cartoon as a kid. You'd rush home from school, or if it was on during the school holidays. It was just something completely different to anything else that was on TV at the time. Now, obviously, as an adult looking back at it, you can tell why, because it's obviously a Japanese cartoon. It's quite an early anime, going back to 1972. I think it was. It started in Japan under the title, which translates basically to Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. And where was we had our heroes, Mark, Jason, Princess, Keop and Tiny, and Seven's Arc 7 protecting us from the evil Zoltar and the evil Planet Spectra. The Japanese got, was it Ken, Joe, Jun, Jinpai, and Ryu. And they were battling the forces of the evil Berg Cats. So basically, Gatchaman was 105 episodes in Japan. Producer Sandy Frank saw it. And don't forget, this was a time when Star Wars was absolutely clearing up at the box office. Just as war movies had sort of taken over from westerns, sort of dominated the box office after the war, we now were basically heading into science fiction dominating everything, mainly due to Star Wars. Everybody wanted a piece of the science fiction pie, Sandy Frank included. He took the Gatchaman cartoon, they edited it down, we ended up with 85 episodes taken from the original 105. They cut the violence and swearing out of it, unfortunately, but obviously which, inevitable as they were marketing it as a kid show. I mean, even these days, animation in the West, although it's much more accepting, there's still a lot of people, there's still a lot of sort of pushback that it's aimed at kids, and the idea of animation for adults is still only, even now, still only just being accepted in some places. Obviously, us geeks, we love our animation. There's still a lot of people out there, all cartoons are for kids. And obviously back in the late 70s, this was very much so. So Sandy Frank and his team, so they edited down the cartoons, changed Berg Cats into Zoltar. The Berg Cats character in the Japanese cartoons is a sort of shape-changing mutant and changes gender, and often is depicted as a woman. I've noticed this quite a lot in Japanese culture. Sometimes, especially bad guys, it seems, seem to be sort of almost transgender in a way. Obviously, for 70s kids TV here in the UK, none of that was going to stand. So all of that was cut out. The original Gatchaman had lots of environmental themes as well. Some of them do pull through into the westernized version. But Sandy Frank decided much more sci-fi was the way to go to grab hold of those Star Wars dollars. Introducing the character Seven's Arc 7, who looks like R2-D2, basically is a robot who lives in the G-Force base on Center Neptune with his robotic dog, and Susan, the very strangely sexily voiced female computer the Seven's Arc 7 is basically in love with. He was added, all that footage was shot, none of that's in the original Japanese Gatchaman, so that was all added in to pad out some of the stories and to sort of frame some of the stories where they had to take other bits out, so they've added bits in and made it seem much more sort of space-based. And so, as kids, we absolutely, lapped this stuff up. Their ship, the fiery phoenix, I think it's translated. I think it's the God Phoenix in the original cartoons. It transmutes into this big fiery bird. Which if you actually go back and watch the first episode, they sort of say this is a last resort, and it could end up killing them all. It's just say there's only something to do as an absolute last resort. And then if you notice in all subsequent episodes, they use it all the time, just willy nilly. So they sort of they got rid of that idea, and obviously everyone loved the idea of the fiery phoenix, so it shows up all the the time. As a kid, I would have absolutely killed to have had action figures of G-Force to be able to play with whilst watching the cartoons. And it's great that, these days, as an adult collector, so many companies make all these lovely geeky things we can buy to clutter up our houses with. Yeah, so moving on to the Gatchaman live action movie. Apparently it came out in 2013, completely passed by my radar. So you never really hear anyone talking about it. Battle of the Planets is a beloved cartoon series. Gatchaman is still very highly collectible. In Japan, there were a series of comic books with covers by Alex Ross that come out a few years back, which are great. But yeah, the live action movie, no one ever seems to talk about it. Reason being is, having watched it, unfortunately, it isn't that great. It does vaguely follow along the storyline of the team saving the world from, well, bird cats, as it is in the movie. But you can tell it's not a huge budget movie, and what budget they have got, they blow the whole lot on the sort of opening 25 minutes battle. Now that is great. There's this great big sort of robotic death wheel that's rolling around crushing things, and there's all the soldiers in their green outfits that look similar to what they do in the cartoon. And then in comes G-Force to take them on. And that first 25 minutes is quite good fun battle. If you're used to watching things like Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, was it Masked Rider, I think it was, here in the West. If you love all of those sort of Japanese shows, and Ultraman as well, obviously, where the hero is in some sort of suit, going around beating up other people in rubbery monster suits, all good fun. I absolutely love them. That's your bag. That's sort of say the first 20 minutes of the film. You'll love. And then the very ending, it was then we get another sort of action sequence, and you've got the evil base, which looks a bit like the famous space terrapin from one of the Battle of the Planets episodes. It looks a bit like that, and it's flying through space, and they're in the Phoenix. But unfortunately, it's not as good a design as the cartoon. But I mean, it does. Just when I thought it wasn't going to happen, they do transmute into the fiery Phoenix at the end. And there's a bit of action. At the climax of the film, just unfortunately the sort of central part of the film is a bit of a slog. So they obviously didn't have the budget. There's not much action. It's a lot of melodrama, which obviously, if you've seen a lot of Japanese movies, there's quite a lot of they seem to err on the side of a lot of melodrama, lots of slow motion shots and people looking wistful, and music playing in the background telling you exactly how you should be feeling sad at this point in time. So it's unfortunately, I can't wholeheartedly recommend. If you can get it cheap enough, and you just want to watch the first 25 minutes and the last 15 minutes and enjoy the action, people punching other monsters in the face. You want to relive the parts of your childhood where you're actually getting to see G-Force battle the bad guys. Give it a go. But for the casual viewer, I mean, the film as it is probably going to have you reaching for the fast forward button, unfortunately. But I mean, one thing the film did is, it made me wish that we would get a big budget, spectacle Battle of the Planets movie. It's been on the cards for a while, but it never seems to have got any traction. The last sort of rumours were a couple of years back, and that the Russo brothers, the legendary Russo brothers, who gave us Infinity War and Endgame, were at least going to be producing, even if they don't end up directing, they're going to be producing a Battle of the Planets movie. I think it would be an absolute great idea. I think it absolutely lends itself, especially obviously with superhero movies dominating box office at the moment. You've basically got a superhero team with their own outfits, and take the bits from the show where they've each got their own vehicle that all fits together and fits inside the Phoenix. Absolutely fantastic. I'd love to see a big action spectacle based on Battle of the Planets. So fingers crossed. One day in a not too distant future, we'll get to see G-Force doing their stuff on the big screen. Are you a big Battle of the Planets fan? Did you watch it, the original Japanese shows? So why not drop a comment below. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, eat geek and be merry.